All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the ARCA Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Evans, a.k.a. Starting Park Car here, and we have a huge show for you guys today. My whole trip weekend from Iowa Speedway with Brad Smith Motorsports and everything that happened at Iowa Speedway this weekend with the ARCA Menard Series. And we'll also be going over a slight preview show for this weekend's race in Mid-Ohio. So like I said, lots to talk about, lots of storylines to discuss. Like I said, is Toyota starting to fall? Is Chevrolet back on the upbring in ARCA with Pinnacle? Like I said, lots of good storylines to talk about, and I'm glad to be here with y'all tonight on a Tuesday night. We're going to go through my little intro, go through the beginning of every podcast before we get going, and yeah, we will jump right into my Iowa weekend. So you guys know the drill. For all the great people of this show, follow me on social media, Starting Parker on Twitter for all ARCA tweets, news and notes, and all the occasional random crap that for some reason you guys seem to love. We just passed 5,700 followers. We're less than 200, just over 250 away from 6,000. So let's get to 6,000, folks. Like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for notifications. You guys never miss a podcast when I go live. We are under 150 away from 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you like what you see here, just hit that subscribe button and support the channel. Super chats are open if you'd like to financially support the channel. You don't have to send one, but it'd be much appreciated. And, of course, check out the Racing Experts for all NASCAR meter-related content. But before we get into Iowa, this literally just dropped in my notifications. I'm probably going to botch his last name, so I do apologize. But Thomas Annunziata, I'm trying to pronounce his name the best I can. This just popped up on my phone, but he is running a Jeff Gordon-inspired Rainbow Warriors throwback for this weekend's race in Mid-Ohio. Somebody sent me, he just posted that to his Instagram. He had just posted that to his Instagram. So how about that? That's pretty cool, man. That Thomas and the Jeff McClure team. It looks like that's on a Ford body, judging by the front nose. Of course, Thomas is is he currently still in Trans Am? I know he's a Trans Am driver. So he really knows his road racing. But I thought we would start off right there with that. And that's cool. Anytime you see the Rainbow Warrior scheme, it's an iconic paint scheme in the world of stock cars. So great choice for them this weekend. And yeah, might as well have some fun because we don't see the Jeff McClure team very often. So I just wanted to start up with that because that literally just popped into my notifications. But before we get to more about Mid-Ohio, let's discuss Iowa Speedway, my home track. I already went over it on last week's show, why unfortunately I wasn't able to participate in the race. But I'm still grateful I was able to go there with Brad Smith Motorsports and still be able to make a day out of it, at least have some fun with crew gigs. Unfortunately, as you guys saw by the race results, we were out very early. I'll get this out of the way first. Brad and the team did a motor test before Iowa. We have an ECR motor. It's actually it's a really good motor. I believe it's a truck series motor from Ken Schrader's team. And it's a good motor. The problem is it's just been ran too much. We've literally been running the same motor now for probably 65, 75 straight races. And usually motors are not supposed to go. I mean, they can, but they need a lot of work at the same time. And unfortunately, that motor hasn't seen as much work as it probably should be getting. So it's unshocking that the motor is not performing well right now. And I'm telling you guys, when I say it's not performing well right now, it's not running very well. It's not misfiring, thank God, but it's just not running very well. It didn't sound very well when we were priming it at Iowa before practice. It didn't sound good. Brad knew it wasn't, so we made the call where it was literally just going to be a one-lap start and park. That way we have no risk of blowing the motor. Brad didn't want to take any chances. The plan will be to start and park this weekend at Mid-Ohio, and then during the break before IRP, Brad's going to take the motor out, and he knows what's wrong with it. I can't say it on the air, but he knows what's wrong with it, and he's going to repair it and be back for IRP. So it was a fun day. It was fun. Got through tech, no problems there, thank God. Didn't think we would have any issues. Although I will say the biggest problem that seemed to be going on in tech this weekend is with where the cowl opening is. A lot of the hoods were about here, and the cowl was here. ARCA wanted them to be centered, and I think going forward, ARCA wants the top of the cowl opening and the hood to be matching, not the cow opening to be down here and the beginning of the hood up here. And I think almost every single team got docked for that in tech this past weekend. So it must have been a new rule, because even we got docked on it. But since we were a starting park, I think ARCA just was like, okay, just get it fixed for next week, but you can go through. So Brad does have other motors, but the Daytona motor is still being fixed. We probably won't even see that motor until next year. And Brad's got like 10 motors. They just don't run. That's the problem. He's got plenty of motors from over the years. They just don't run, including what we call the emergency engine, which was like a Bud Moore engine from like the 90s. But that's for emergencies only. And I'm not even sure if that one would honestly even be allowed by ARCA in 2024. But yeah, we'll get into Iowa more. So we had a huge entry list, at least by ARCA standards. The biggest field at Iowa Speedway for an ARCA race in time. We've seen as little as 19 cars for this race. I was there in 2019. It was just kind of sad seeing only 19. But this is the biggest field since 2016. Now, we did have 26 cars in 2017. However, one car did not take the green flag, so I don't count that. We only had 25 start that race. So by technicality, this is the biggest field at Iowa Speedway since 2016, 8 years ago. And in that time, we had 23, 19, 21, 23, 23. And even last year in 2023, we only had 20. 6 extra cars for this race compared to last year. So a huge jump in car counts for this race. We did have some oddball entries for this one. Obviously, with this being an E-Series combo race, you had Connor Zilisch run. Of course, we had Sawalich, Gio Ruggiero was in the 20. Mason Mitchell and the Joe. I had been pronouncing it as Joe Ferré. It's Joe Ferré. Joe Ferré actually came up to me. He actually watched the show, so that's awesome that Joe watches the show. Shout out to Joe. And he politely corrected his last name pronunciation. It's Ferré, not Ferré. So I apologize for that. But he was entered this weekend with Mason Mitchell, hometown boy. Love Mason. We had Chris Tate in the 10. We had D.L. Wilson back. He's an East entry for Caleb Costner. Ryan Roulette was back. Cody Dennison was in the 93 and supposed to be in that car for the rest of the season, but we'll have more on that in a second. Zachary Tinkle, of course, with his East deal. Rita Goulet and Presley Sora in a second club entry. We'll have more on that later, too. So, yeah, a couple of extra oddball entries, but a nice, solid 26-car field. And, yeah, just happy to see it because, man, after seeing only 20 cars last year with 3 starting parks, only had 17 cars attempt the distance last year, such an improvement. Such a huge improvement. I'm so happy to see it. I do apologize. Still got a slight cough, guys. So if I do cough a lot, I'm sorry. But definitely a very big improvement right there. Even if we did have a couple of starting parks, just having more bodies at the racetrack is a better environment. Though I will say, being there, the 31 team, bless their hearts, they were 4 hours late. Now, I couldn't really get it clear from the Goulets why they were late. Happy to see them show up regardless, but they were late by 4 hours, and they missed practice and they missed qualifying. Thankfully, though, the car is fixed from Charlotte. And if you guys saw the Charlotte crash, it's kind of a miracle that on a budget of Rise Motorsports and Tim Goulet not having a lot of people to help him, that they're able to get that car fixed and bring it to Iowa in as good of a shape as it really looked. So, yeah. And, of course, I think on last week's show, I don't even remember on last week's show. I think I just went ahead and picked William Sawalich to win. Although I did say don't count out Connor Zilisch. I don't remember. I guess it's been so long. I don't even remember who I did pick last week. But, yeah. So we got to the track, did the track walk. Actually, probably one of the coolest things I personally have ever done. I did not know that ARCA has a driver and team track walk where they literally allow all series there to walk the track. Literally walk the track, like make as many laps as you want in the time allotted. And they have a specific time allotment for it. And, we had finished tech. We had gotten out to pit road. And I knew what it was. But when I looked on and I saw people on the track, so I asked Brad, I'm like, how much downtime do we got right now? And he's like, oh, we got about a couple hours. I'm like, couple hours? So I run out, jump the guardrail, and I just run right onto the track. And it's just, man, I've never felt so alive being on the racetrack. So yeah, there I am, literally just walking Iowa Speedway. I'm sure you guys maybe saw some of the photos I posted on Twitter. So I literally got to walk Iowa Speedway, made one full lap. So hey, at least I can say I made a lap at Iowa Speedway. Might not have been in a race car, but I made a lap. I made a lap at Iowa Speedway this past weekend. Just wished it was in a race car, but nope. And wow, even at Iowa Speedway, man, walking on the tippy top banking is not easy. Not easy, but that was probably one of the highlights of my year. That was just so much fun to be able to walk on the banking. Absolutely a lot of fun. But we got back there. I had to be the spotter for this race. There was only 4 of us. It was me, Jeff, Brad, one other old guy, Gary, and then we had another kid named Jonah. It was just the 5 of us. And I was picked to be the spotter. Again, we were only running a couple laps. So no matter what, though, it's always cool going to the spotter stand. You know, it's not something that really any race fans get to experience. Not many people get to experience it in general. So to get to do any kind of spotting gig, I'd say is an honor. It's fun being up that high. The view is amazing. I mean, I think it's truly a view that I wish all race fans could experience, but unfortunately, only a few people really get to do. So we got to practice, and it was your standard ARCA 45, 50-minute practice session. We went out about mid-session. Brad did a couple laps. We weren't the slowest, thankfully, but Brad did a couple laps. 25 of the 26 cars did take a time. Obviously, the 31, not through tech yet, did not make a lap. Gio Ruggiero was actually the quickest one in practice, which was kind of shocking. I did not think he would be faster than Sawalich. And Gus Dean even showed some slight speed in the 55, being in 3rd place. Other entries, though, that notably struggled, again, Rev Racing, they have good speed. I mean, it's not like I said, they're not slow, but we just kind of notice a trend that the Rev Racing cars are never really the strongest on the short tracks. And that's not taking anything away from that organization. But we've just kind of noticed that even in Nick Sanchez's championship year in 2022, I would really say that ARCA or that Nick Sanchez really wasn't all that competitive, even on the some of the short tracks in 2022. Carruth, he wasn't all that competitive on some of the short tracks too. I don't attribute that to them. I don't think Rev's short track program is as good, surprisingly. I figured their short track program would be better than their intermediate program, but I would almost say that Rev Racing's intermediate program is better than their short track program because they really just don't show. I mean, they're there, they're up there, they're competitive, but I never would have thought that they were going to win the race. Like I didn't think LeVar or Andres were going to win this race by any means. But yeah, they could probably easily get top 5 finishes for sure. So just wanted to point that out. Mason Mitchell, he was 11th. Marco, 13th. Christian Rose down in 14th. Figured he'd be a little bit faster. Then you got the Hillenberg cars. And then, like I said, what I would classify down as, my good old back markers. Presley Sora, poor Presley. I felt bad for him up on the spotter stand. That car sounded bad. He later deemed it was a misfire in the engine. That car just sounded terrible. It did not sound good. Thankfully, it sounds like they're going to get the issue fixed for Mid-Ohio this weekend. But, man, that car just did not sound good at all. Only ran a 30.79, over 3 seconds slower than us. Presley is faster than that. Trust me. I think he said he could only get the car above about 4,500 RPM. So that's what was wrong with the 86. If you look at the practice speeds, Presley was not that slow. He was just that slow because that's all I believe the car had in it. So I kind of felt bad for him there. But, hey, a start is a start, But, yeah, and it was also good to see Dale Scheer back. Forgot to mention Dale Scheer was back. I think this might be his first appearance since Talladega. So good to see him back. Obviously, his back had all healed up. And just good to see him out there. So he's a good old guy. So we got to practice immediately afterwards, just like with the NASCAR series. ARCA does their practice session immediately after practice, and Gio Ruggiero surprisingly won the pole again. I did not predict that he would win the pole. Connor Zilisch was second. Gus Dean was third again. William Sawalich qualifying fourth. I know he qualified fourth, but realistically, when you think about it, for William Sawalich, not qualifying in the top three, I would probably deem as bad. So, I mean, when was the last time William Sawalich qualified outside of the top three? Like, seriously, can anyone pull that statistic up? When was the last time William qualified on pure pace outside of the top three? So, I mean, that kind of told me, I was like, man, the 18, not saying that they're slipping because they're still very good. Team's an elite team, but man, it's one of the few times where we have not seen that pure domination out of Sawalich on the short tracks. Mason Mitchell was able to step it up to sixth. It was kind of the other story of qualifying, but that was pretty much it. Two cars did not make a qualifying lap. Obviously, Rita and then Presley. We made our qualifying lap. Brad just put a lap in. I mean, we were slower in practice than we were. Slower in qualifying than practice. Brad wasn't trying. Just wanted to put a lap in before everybody else got on track. So we come to the race a little bit later that night. And I was skeptical, man. I was skeptical on who really had the speed to win. And, judging by the practice times and the qualifying times, it did not look like that it was going to be another masterclass by William Sawalich. And I was kind of surprised by that, considering he was practically unbeatable last year. I mean, let's face it. He had the best car. Luke Fenhouse just beat him on a restart because Luke Fenhouse knew how to do late race restarts. I don't think William, he didn't really get the jump as good as, Luke. And Luke was able to pull off he did that twice last year in Nashville and Iowa, snuck a win. But Connor Zilisch has just been on a roll this year. I would definitely say that for the 18 team this season, it's been probably a bit of a disappointment. I'm sure they have not won as much as like to. When you go back to the few races that Sawalich was beaten, especially Kansas, I think the 18 team has only won a handful of times this year, which is quite shocking. So we get going with the race. Brad is off in literally 2 laps. Again, that was the plan all along. I was a bit disappointed. I wished we could have ran some laps. I really do wish we could have at least ran a couple laps. At least beat the 86. I mean, I knew the 86 was starting parking, but I wish we could have beaten the 86 at least. But Brad just did not want to take any chances, and I respect it. I get it. I don't own the car. It's his. Whatever his call is what we go with. There's no arguing about it. There's no debating it. Brad's call is what we go with. So after 2 laps, Brad pulled off. And I stayed for a couple laps. I didn't want to get in the other spotters' way, so I just stayed for a couple laps. And like I said, what a view the spotter stand is. It's kind of cool. I'm not going to lie, kind of cool standing next to Billy Venturini on the spotter stand. I had Billy Venturini on the spotter stand to my right, and I had Rick, the spotter Rick, who spots a 31 car, on my left. So I had both of them on the right. It's like, God dang, Billy Venturini. Not going to lie, it's kind of cool. And Billy's, he was a nice guy. I introduced myself to him. He's a nice guy. Just Billy can be a hothead when he wants to. But overall, I can't really say many bad things about the Venturis. I know people do, but from my personal experience, I haven't really had, if any, bad interactions with the Venturinis. I hope not to have any in the future, but for now, I really haven't had any. But the 86, it only lasted a couple more laps than us. That car, it just sounded terrible. I mean, I felt bad for Presley. I really did. The car sounded terrible. In his own words, Presley said the car felt like it was a couple laps from blowing up. So he parked it, thankfully. So no engine failures there. Club can't afford that. And that car will be running Mid-Ohio again, so hopefully they get it fixed. I'm sure they'll get it fixed. So our 2 planned starting parks were out of the way. We had 24 cars going the distance. I started to head back. The Iowa Speedway trams were a joke, I will say. We had to get on like 2 different trams to get up there. So I just said, screw it. So walked all the way around the track back to the garage area. And in that mess, I actually thankfully pulled on my phone, and I ended up watching the race on Hulu. So I watched the race anyway. Went back and watched the start of the race. So Gio got a big start. Connor held on to his inside, but obviously the new repave, The outside line kind of proved to be the better line with the replay over time because of the amount of corner speed you could carry. But Connor tried to hang in there. Unfortunately, did a classic rookie mistake, threw it in there on the corner, nearly wrecked himself and Gio, and William Sawalich quickly took the lead. Gus Dean went to second. And they were just kind of riding there. William, once he got out front, once William got out front, there wasn't really probably going to catch him for now. Everybody was just kind of riding because we knew we had 2 scheduled breaks, one at lap 50 and one at lap 100. So we were just kind of riding. Zilisch and Ruggiero were able to get back by the 55. And then we come to our first yellow on lap 16, which was for Ryan Roulette in the 12. I felt bad for Ryan. By all accounts, though, Ryan was not very happy with the Venturini car, the number 20 of Gio Ruggiero. Felt like he cut down one of his tires. So was not very happy with that with Gio. I watched the replay. I do feel, I don't know if it was intentional. I don't think this one was intentional, but, I wasn't driving the car. So I can see it from both sides, whether Gio says it was an accident or Ryan says it was intentional. I can go with both arguments personally because we know Venturini has been very aggressive with the fast track cars in the past by wrecking them. We've seen that plenty of times. So my count is we'll go 50-50 on it, but I can see where Gio did do it intentionally. And I can see where he just accidentally ran into him. But it sucks for Ryan Roulette regardless because, he is part-time. He's not full-time. And to have your race kind of ruined like that, only 10, 15 laps in. They got him back out there. They got Ryan back out there about 15 laps down. But his race was ruined. He was just kind of out there for the sake of driving. He didn't get a chance to really, see what he had. And honestly, with the attrition rate in the race, probably could have gotten a top 10 finish. Then we come to the next portion where on the restart, Zilisch looked like he was going to get by Sawalich. Definitely had the pace to compete with Sawalich until we had our next caution, the 22 of Amber Balkin, the 35 of Greg Van Alst, and the 17 of Marco Andretti. And I'm like, dang it, not Greg. I hate when Greg Van Alst gets involved in a crash because, Greg, he has funding, but not a lot of it. And I hate it every time he gets in a crash. I don't know what Amber was really doing. I mean, she just went into the corner right on Greg's ass way too hard and just doesn't get off of him. And shocker, Greg loses it because he's got a car shoving him way too hard into the corner, and he spins out and Amber wrecks herself in the process. And poor Marco Andretti, I mean, his ARCA season has just, Marco's way better than what he's running. I feel really bad for Marco. He just has had no chance to really get out of the box in his stock car season. But yeah, wiped out 3 good cars. And I really just don't understand what Balkin was doing right there. I don't put a lot of the blame for some of the crashes on her, but this one, I don't know what else Greg could have done different. When you're getting shoved into the corner way too fast, what are you supposed to do? And so, I don't know, man. That's just, to me, that was just unacceptable by Balkin. And unfortunately, it pretty much killed Greg's championship hopes because now he's over 30 points behind. And I would say that's just too much for him for his team to make up. But get going on the restart again. William Sawalich gets the jump. Gus Dean almost goes for the lead, loses it in turn 2. He falls back to 4th. Gio goes to 2nd. Zilisch goes to 3rd. Great battling between Gio and Connor for 2nd place. Again, it just looked like in this race, Gio just didn't quite have the long run pace. Definitely had a short pace in the 20 car, but didn't look like that car had long run speed by my account. This was just my visuals at the racetrack. The 28 would eventually get back by the 20, and he ran down the 18, and that is not something you see very often in the ARCA series. Somebody pass the 20 and run down the 18 and pass him like nothing. I'm telling you, the 28 of Connor Zilisch, he came all the way up there and just passed the 18 like it was nothing. Very impressive by him. We run up to the scheduled break 1. In that, D.L. Wilson got 2 straight free passes in a row. Should mention that the 31 did start the race, but she was slow at the start, obviously. But Rita Goulet did start the race. I don't know if I forgot to mention that. So we get going in the second stage. By then, I've made it down to the garage. We loaded up pretty quickly. I mean, when you're doing a start and park, you don't unload a lot. So we actually got loaded up pretty quickly by Brad. Oh, crap. Sorry. We almost froze there for a second. But we actually got loaded up pretty quickly. And it was the trailer. Brad actually showed me where the trailer broke on the way to Charlotte. The right-hand side of the trailer, the hinges literally snapped off from the car coming loose in the trailer and continuously hitting the back of the trailer. The right side hinges literally snapped off, and they never found them. So who knows where they are? So the hinges on the trailer are somewhere probably still in Charlotte. But yeah, so we had to basically use ratchet straps to hold the trailer door shut. I love this. Like, this was full redneck trailer. I love it. So we used 2 ratchet straps to form an X to hold the trailer door shut. I love it. Full on redneck. That is exactly something my brother would do. I love it. By this point, though, I'd also seen that the 6 car had come, 06 car, sorry, I should say, was on and off pit road. Kevin Hinkle, it was later told me by Nate Moeller, initially came down pit road because the dash was coming apart and hitting the steering wheel. And then Kevin had lost radio communication. And that costed them a lot of laps. Kevin ended up finishing 32 laps down, but they had radio communication problems. They could not hear anyone at all. Kevin could talk, but he couldn't hear anyone. And then the dash was coming apart. So tough break for them, but they did finish the race. But that's why the 06 was listed as 32 laps down. So we finally, like I said, back up to front. We're still going. Gio spun in turn 4. Very rare caution by Gio Ruggiero. By this point, Connor Zilisch was able to take the lead. Here, and he was dominating. I will say this. He was pulling away from the 18, but we had a caution for Gio. Didn't hit the wall. Wasn't quite a replay if he got help. I think he just spun on his own, but man, it's very weird. You don't see the 20 car struggling this much. Definitely been a struggle for Gio in the last couple of races, for sure. Then we got going again. By this breakaway, we did have a couple of cars pull off. Rita Goulet did pull off the track after 67 laps with an apparent, I think they said a sway bar broke. Something broke in the front of the car, so she pulled off. Zachary Tinkle, something was wrong with the car. He just said the engine just did not. He said something in the engine just did not do well. It kept jumping out of gear. So then they just decided to retire the car. And then after 72 laps, Dale Shear retired. I actually went up and asked Dale. I gave him a water because he looked tired. He looked exhausted. And Dale just simply said, I'm in the way. Which, hey, at least Dale's honest. So he just admitted I was in the way. I didn't want to ruin anyone's race. And, he said he got what he wanted out of the race. Dale said the car ran fine. I ran better than I thought I would. And so Dale said he'll be at the short tracks for the rest of the year. Didn't determine, though, exactly if they was just East or Maine, but we'll just see on the entry list. But just glad to see Dale back. He's just kind of like Brad and Wayne. He doesn't have a lot of money, but he loves what he does, and he's just a good guy. I like Dale Shear a lot. But so those were some of the more retirements. And by this point, we had only 18 cars left on the track. High attrition race. Very high attrition race. And then we get to the fun parts of the race. After the second race break, Sawalich, he just cannot hang with the 28. It's amazing. He literally just cannot hang with him. He can, on the restarts, he's good, but the 28, great launch, great restart. I mean, he would clear him. It was weird. We've never really seen the 18 and the 20 get outclassed like this. But Connor Zilisch, what do you expect? The kid has won the Rolex. The kid has won the Sebring in class events. What else should we expect out of him? What else should we expect? So he's dominating. He's got a decent, not a huge lead, but a decent sized lead. And then we get to one of the big moments of the race where in turn one, it looks like Chris Wright just wrecks the 93 car of Cody Dennison. Not really a good replay from Fox, but by all accounts, it's Chris Wright. What do you expect? It's Chris Wright. Well, what do you expect from Chris Wright? You expect damage and wrecks. And I felt so bad for Cody Dennison and Caleb Costner, because Caleb, they had a destroyed car. At Charlotte, and this was a brand new deal. Literally the first race for this brand new deal with Cody Dennison for the rest of the year. This was supposed to be for the rest of the year. And by all accounts, from the 93, I talked to the 93 spotter, I talked to the 93 driver, and I got like 3 or 4 words from Caleb because he was just in a bad mood. He didn't really want to talk to anyone. And by all accounts, they just said the 15 wrecked us. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. And it's just like, God damn it. The Chris Wright got kicked out of the Xfinity Series, got kicked out of the Truck Series because he sucked so much, crashed so much crap. And now he is in the ARCA Series in an A-tier level ride, championship level ride, and he is still doing the same crap. For all the crap that Stephen Wallace got, I think Chris Wright is 15 times worse than Stephen Wallace ever was. This guy wrecks so damn much. At what point, man, do you just go away? You crash so much crap and you have no remorse for it because you'll just throw another check. It is just baffling me how bad someone can be. When you were all the way up in the Xfinity Series, nobody will take your checks. And now you go down to the Truck Series. You get released from your ride. Nice Motorsports 2022. I don't know if he got released or fired because he crashed so much of their stuff. Now he's down to ARCA in Venturini Motorsports. And literally, in almost every race this season, has pulled these stupid stunts, just wrecking people, or he's wrecking himself. And his one truck start this year for David Gilliland, what did he do at Texas? He crashed. The guy is so terrible. The guy could not pull a good run out of his own ass. And he's got me blocked on Twitter, so I don't care. I mean, he could confront me in the garage. I don't care. But he is so bad. So bad. Yeah, and he got released from Young's. I mean, I think he got fired from Young's Motorsports, too. I mean, the guy is so bad. But he brings the big-ass check, so I can understand the business side of it. But just blatantly dumping someone like that, I mean, I don't want to believe that he would just go there, willingly just wreck the 93 and himself. I don't want to believe he did that. But it wouldn't shock me because that's what Chris Wright's track record is. And, Front Stretch and Mark Crystal were able to catch up with Caleb Costner. Apparently, Cody Dennison was supposed to get a Fox interview, but didn't, although Chris Wright did. And this is what Caleb Costner, I'm going to play the audio. This is credit to frontstretch.com. And I just want you guys to listen. I'm going to play the entire clip, and I just want you guys to listen. I'm sure you guys have seen the video. Go give them a subscribe. This is from their video, so go give them a subscribe. It's Front Stretch Grassroots YouTube channel. Go give them a subscribe. But this is from Caleb Costner. I just want you to hear the emotion in Caleb's voice. Okay, so I'm going to play it right now. I'm trying to play the audio. All right, here. Sorry, you guys cannot hear it. Let me look it up on my phone. Sorry, I thought you guys could hear it. I tried to hook this up to my phone, chuck it up to the computer. Here.
All right, Caleb Costner, team owner.
Dang it, turn my phone off. Stay with me, guys. I'm trying to hear this live.
All right, Caleb
Can you guys
Costner,
hear it
team
now?
owner. You were animated earlier. What happened from your perspective?
I mean, I'll keep it as clean as I can, right? I mean, there's nothing really I can say. I mean, the entire NASCAR community knows that. I mean, there's a reason why Chris Wright's back down ARCA Menard Series. He can't.
All right, there you go, guys. Sorry about that. I didn't know you guys couldn't hear.
As much funds that money can buy, as far as say in a truck or wherever he ran, and he had to come down and try to pickpocket and stuff down here. I feel like, and I don't really think that that's worked out for him either. If he could finish the race, might prove to some people that he could do a thing or two. But I mean, it's really rough, right? I don't really have words with the guy. But what's the tough part is how bad and how hard I've worked to build this team and to do everything I can just to put these cars on track. People have no idea how hard.
I was going to play the whole audio there, but it's 4 minutes long. But the emotion in Caleb's voice, man, in my opinion, says it all. I mean, nobody has any idea. To an extent, I have a slight idea what it takes to get to the racetrack every week with what Andy has told me and Brad has told me. These guys bust their fucking asses. Absolutely bust their asses every damn week. And Costner, they went through a lot this year with losing some sponsors. But they had this great deal with Cody Dennison. And in one race, it gets scrapped because here, I'll just use this. So for anyone who watches wrestling, I'll use this quote. This is from CM Punk. An empty-headed dumb fuck like Chris Wright goes up there and ruins everything. We'll just say like that. Empty-headed dumb fuck is Chris Wright. Okay? And it's just unacceptable. But what else do you expect? What else do we expect out of Chris Wright? So, talked to Cody afterwards. He was fine, thankfully. The car is junk. I got a good look at the car. The rear clip is screwed up. The front clip is screwed up. The motor is junk. The rear windshield glass, or not, the fiberglass, I should say, was all cracked up. I don't even know how they loaded it. I didn't stay long enough post-race to watch them load up the car, so I don't know how they were going to get the 93 loaded, but the car was pretty well totaled. And I feel bad for the Venturini Fab Shop guys. I mean, I've got some people who work on the Venturini team that I'm close with. I like them. I just hate that they have an incompetent driver who keeps wrecking all their stuff. But I just don't understand how you can get released from so many rides despite bringing massive checks, and you just continue to drive like a complete asshole. It's not fair to the team. It's not fair to the series. And you're just making yourself constantly look worse and worse and worse and worse. And I'm sure if I ever get on the track in the ARCA series, he'll probably wreck me too. So, I mean, let's hope that doesn't happen. But if it does, well, it happens. But I don't know. I'm just tired of that crap, man. And then, of course, Cody Dennison with the line of the century, Cody Dennison basically saying, I don't even know what he looks like. I love that. Like Cody Dennison just buried Chris Wright right there, just saying, I don't even know what he looks like. Because, I honestly, I didn't really know what Chris Wright looked like either until I saw him with a fire suit. So yeah, I don't know. I had some strong opinions, man, when I saw that crash because Chris is there's just no reason why he should be doing this. When you have as many starts as he does in all different kinds of motorsports, you should not be doing this kind of crap. I don't even blame it on Venturini. I just blame that on him because it's just expected of him that he'll just tear shit up. And I feel bad for the Fab Shop team, who have to put that back together. I'm sure they've had to put together a lot of stuff from him this year, and probably not the end of it either. So, yeah, gotta love it. So that's my rant on Chris Wright. Just unacceptable in my opinion. Completely unacceptable. Needless to say, though, they actually red flagged the race due to all the fluid that had been laid down by both cars. So we eventually got back going again. We had a quick debris yellow. Then we had a decent run to the flag. William Sawalich, though, this is where it really started to get good for the lead. William Sawalich, he was doing everything he could to try to wreck the 28. It's like William Sawalich was getting desperate, bumping into his left rear tire on the restarts, shoving him into the corners. But Connor Zilisch, he just had a response for it all, kept the lead and everything. And like I said, he had the race pretty well in hand. We were coming to 7 laps to go when the 6 of LeVar Scott went for a spin in turn 2, and it set up a 4-lap dash to the end. And although William Sawalich, he tried on those last couple corners to maybe nudge into him, he could not get it done. And how about that, man? I mean, he led 102 of the 150 laps. Connor Zilisch wins at Iowa. Pinnacle Racing goes 2 in a row. Just a dominating performance. Probably the weakest performance I have seen out of Toyota in an ARCA race. And that's really saying something when you think about it. Considering that they just flat out got beat by Chevrolet this weekend, even though William did lead some laps. Sawalich ended up second. Gio ended up third, as kind of the triple threat we expected. Mason Mitchell was able to get up to fourth, so that was great. Andy Jankowiak was fifth. Andres Perez De Lara was sixth. Gus Dean was seventh. Tony Breidinger was eighth. LeVar Scott was ninth. And Christopher Tate for Andy Hillenberg ended up with a top 10 finish. That was pretty cool. Christian Rose was 11th. D.L. Wilson was 12th. Michael Maples was 13th. Alex Clubb was 14th. Ryan Roulette, he recovered all the way to 15th. 15th was Chris Wright. 17th was Kevin Hinkle. 18th was Cody Dennison. 19th, Dale Shear. 20th, Zachary Tinkle. 21st, Rita Goulet. 22nd, Marco Andretti. 23rd, Greg Van Els. 24th, Amber Balkin. 25th, Presley Sora. And 26th, Brad Smith. Very fun race from start to finish. The repave really didn't hurt anything. Really did not hurt anything at all, I would say. I do wish we could have gotten some outside groove racing, but I still thought overall it was very solid. It was very, very solid. Yeah, like I said, Iowa's a fun track. I'm glad the ARCA series still comes here every year. It always puts on a great race. It shows that when we have the right amount of cars, we can definitely put on a good race. The point standings coming out of this race for both main series and East. We'll start up with the East points. Connor Zilisch extends his points lead with 3 races to go. 17 points now over William Sawalich in both the owner standings and the driver standings, and 26 points over Gio Ruggiero. I'm telling you, man, 26 points behind with only 3 races to go. Gio is definitely going to have to be way more aggressive in these next 3 races. And William, he'll have to be extra aggressive too, because I can guarantee you they do not want to lose. Actually, they did win last year. I'm talking about the main series owners championship, but they don't want to lose these East series championships with the amount of money that they spend. Tinkle is 4th. D.L. Wilson is 5th. Dennison is 6th. Michael Maples is 7th. Actually, a pretty good battle for 4th place right now. Tinkle, D.L., Cody, and Maples are only separated by 16 points. So actually a pretty decent battle for 4th place right now. And then you got Rita Goulet, the final full-time driver, in 8th. As for the main series points, Andres Perez De Lara extends his points lead all the way up to 33 points. I think it's safe to say right now that as long as Andres has nothing wrong with the car for the rest of the year, I would presume that he is the championship favorite, if not the champion right now for the season, unless the 2 car just suddenly has like 2 or 3 straight engine failures. Greg Van Els is 33 points behind. LeVar Scott is 40. Chris Wright is 49. Andy Jankowiak, who announced he will only be part-time now going forward, is 49 points behind. Amber Balkin is minus 51. Christian Rose is minus 52. And Tony Breidinger is minus 54. So unless something drastic happens to the 2 car, I think it's safe to say that Andres is your champion in the driver's side. As for the owner's championship right now, in the main division. I think the 18 has it right now. I'm not quite sure because the 28 is not full-time in the main division. 28 is not full-time in the main division, so they are not at stake right now for the Owners' Championship. The Billy Venturini 20 car currently leads the Owners' Championship by about 14 points. 14 points. And Joe Gibbs does definitely not want to lose those two straight Owners' Championships, that's for sure. So definitely going to have to get extra aggressive for Sawalich to get back up there as well. But yeah, those are the point standings coming out of Iowa. Like I said, I thought it was a very, very fun race from start to finish. Connor Zilisch, man, that kid is a beast. He kicks so much ass, and it's just so cool to see so much talent out of such a youngster, man. He's something special, and I really hope Trackhouse can make him a big superstar in the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and I'm sure he will be in the Cup Series not too far down the line. But, yeah, the biggest takeaways from Iowa was Chevrolet is really back in the ARCA Series with Connor Zilisch. William Sawalich even said he lost respect for Connor Zilisch, which, I mean, I guess he's a little upset from Dover, but literally he tried to destroy the 28 multiple times. I'm not sure why William Sawalich would say he has lost respect. And then the biggest takeaway is that Chris Wright sucks. But we already knew that. We already knew that coming in. He sucks. And, yeah, that's just the biggest takeaway. Chris Wright sucks. And, yeah. And if I ever get wrecked by him on track, well, you can trace it back to this podcast. If I ever get wrecked, if I'm in the race at IRP and he wrecks me there, you guys know how it happened. So I hope that doesn't happen, but hey, you just never know. You never know for sure. But so yeah, that was Iowa. Just a very fun weekend. Hopefully I'm in the race next year. We're going to plan on that. Disappointed to say the least, but like I said, it's the racing business. I get it. It's what it happens, but yeah, just had lots to talk about. It was fun. Now we're going to switch over to Mid-Ohio. Yes, we're going from the short tracks to the road courses this weekend for the ARCA Menards Series. Their return trip to Mid-Ohio. It's a standalone weekend for the ARCA Menards Series. No Truck Series, no Xfinity Series. This is a rare standalone road course race for the ARCA Menards Series. I think the first time since, New Jersey that we've had a standalone ARCA race. So that's pretty cool. At Mid-Ohio this weekend, we have a whopping 26 cars on the entry list. A huge improvement from last year from only 21. The biggest ARCA car count at Mid-Ohio since the series started there in 2021. And we'll go over the entry list as follows. Just pull it up here in 1 second. All right, I got it right here. So we will start off with the 2, of course, of Andres Perez De Lara, the 6 of LeVar Scott, everybody's favorite, Brad Perez. He is back in the Andy Hillenberg 10 car, which is awesome. Always love seeing Brad Perez back. Cody Dennison is in the 11 for Andy Hillenberg. Did announce this week on his show that he will be with Fast Track Racing for the remainder of the year, as his deal with Caleb Costner's team is no longer going due to the crashed car, and he will be with Fast Track for the rest of the season. The 12 car currently sits TBA, but it will be there because it's a full season car. The 15 of good old Chris Wright. Maybe he can actually have a good run for once. Marco Andretti in the 17, William Sawalich in the 18, Gio Rogero in the 20, Amber Balkin in the 22, Tony Bradinger in the 25, Tim Richmond back in the 27, Connor Mosek in the 28, the 30 right now, which is TBA. My guess is Frankie Muniz, but we'll find out, but that's my guess. Rob Pelosi in the 31. I believe I pronounced that name correctly. Christian Rose in the 32, Greg Van Alst in the 35, Thomas Anyunziata. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, I'm sorry. He'll be in the 44, that Jeff Gordon throwback. Brad Smith in the 48. Brent Cruz, the Cars Tour and Trans Am standout in the 55. Chris Golden will be in the Starton Park 86 entry by Club. Andrew Patterson and the Noble Motorsports team, they're running a road race in the 95. Michael Maples in the 99. Alex Club in the 03. And Nate Moeller will be back in the 06 entry for Peterson. It's a lot to talk about. Dale Quarterly will be in the race. He was not listed on the initial entry list, but he will be in the race as well. And the 2 CCM entries from the Souza team were on the primarily entry list, but have been withdrawn. So that sucks. We could have had 28 cars, but hey, 26 is still good enough. For starting parks in this race, obviously Brad will start in park. I would imagine the 12 car will start in park if a full race driver cannot be found. The 48, the 12, the 06 will run about half the race, so that's 3. Otherwise, I think we got 23 full race cars for the race itself, which is good. God, I tell you, man, the field I would say is pretty even. You know, Gio, he doesn't have a lot of road racing experience. William Sawalich, he definitely has gotten a little bit better on the road courses. I would say this is one of the races that is definitely more wide open. Honestly, you know, for as much as I just buried him, I will actually say this. My pick for this weekend's race, I hate to say it. I still hate to say it, but I'm actually going with Chris Wright to win. If Chris Wright can just get his head out of his ass and not wreck the car, he is a road ringer. And he almost won this race in 2022. So I'm actually going to go with Chris Wright to win this race, as long as he doesn't destroy his car. But I'm just going with Chris Wright to win the race. I know it sounds weird. I know it does, but he's a road ringer, and maybe he can finally do something good for once. I don't know. I'll give him a chance. And then my underdog pick, I'll actually go with Connor Mosack, you know, because he's also kind of a road guy. He ran Trans Am as well for a long time. So we'll go with underdog pick of Mosack, and I will go with Chris Wright as my race winner's pick. Brent Cruz, you could say he's kind of the third pick. He's also a good choice as well. Anyun Ziada in the 44, Thomas. We'll just call him Thomas in the 44. Definitely would not count him out either. When the Jeff McClure team shows up, they show up to win. So would not count him out. Maybe not count out Marco. Hopefully he can finally have some sort of good run. Really, I love the Bruce Cook team. I do. I hope they can get their luck turned around. And let's see here. Who else is on the list? I think that's it. But wish everybody else in the field the best of luck. Hopefully Dennison can get some good luck. But yeah, so oh God. Yeah, like I said, Iowa was fun. Mid-Ohio should be fun. The purse list for the race, the Zin, I can't pronounce the damn race sponsor. I'm sorry. It's a Smart Coat 150, live Friday, June 21st at 6 p.m. Eastern. Race winner's purse, $6,000 for first. Man, that is just not good, but what can we do? $1,000 for last and 26th. $14,800 for first. $8,275 for second, and $5,550 for third. Maximum starting field of 30, so we almost hit DNQs. It's a one-day show. Haulers roll in. Some haulers will roll in on Thursday, but most will probably roll in on Friday. One-day show. And yeah, it should be a fun race. 42 laps, 94 miles, 152 kilometers. That's where they get the 150 from. So yeah, it should be a fun race. The ARCA races at Mid-Ohio are usually pretty wild. And look at that. We got Cody Dennison in the chat. God dang it, Cody. Where were you? God dang it, Cody. Where were you? We needed you during the Chris Wright rant. You missed the Chris Wright rant about 15 minutes ago. We needed you here. But yeah, nonetheless, guys, remember Cody. He will be back for Fast Track this weekend. So cheer on the number 11. I do believe Cody will be in the 10 going forward. This is just the only reason why I think he's in the 11. Are you in the 10? Cody, if you're watching, are you going to be in the 10 going forward or the 11? I thought you said something about you being in the 10 car for this weekend, or the 11 car for this weekend, and then the 10 car going forward, if you're watching. 11 going forward, but 10 when Zachary is running. Okay, so that's how it's going. Okay, so he will be in the 11 car going forward, but in the East races, because Zachary runs number 11, he'll be in the 10 car. Okay, so that's how Dennison will be for the rest of the season. Wish him the best. I'll see him at IRP. I will see all of y'all at IRP regardless, whether I'm driving or whether I'm crewing. Colby, when am I planning on helping MBM? I was supposed to be at Iowa, but unfortunately sponsorship didn't come through. But if Carl's going to be in Indianapolis, Nick, I will gladly be at Indianapolis with y'all, whether it's Xfinity or Cup. So, yeah, like I said, it was definitely a fun weekend. Chris Wright needs to learn how to drive, and hope Cody can have some better luck this weekend with the Andy Hillenberg guys. And yeah, Brad Perez, let's get him a top 10 finish too. So, and I think it's just going to be a fun time. This weekend. But anyway, guys, I think that's all I got for you tonight. I'm looking over my notes here real quick. I don't think I got anything else. News, Presley Sora will be driving the number 12 entry at IRP for Andy Hillenberg. So that's nice. He'll be, I think he said it is a full race deal. So Presley will be running his first full race. Of his career. Well, not of his career, but his ARCA career. So that's good for him. Did we have any other news that I missed? Let's see here. Just trying to make sure I get all the news before we sign off here, folks. Otherwise, we are pretty much done. And yeah, looks like that is it. Looks like that's it. So yeah, guys, it was a fun show for you guys tonight. God dang it, Cody. I wish, if you're still watching, I wish you could have been here the whole stream to see it all. But like I said, Iowa was fun. Can't wait to go back there next year. Mid-Ohio should be fun this weekend. Probably be a pretty attrition-filled race like it usually is. And we'll see y'all next Tuesday. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a backmarker battles. We might do one. For backmarker battles. But I haven't decided yet. I'm not sure. But we'll just see. If I do one, you guys will notice it. If I don't, I don't. So, yes. Am I going to eat after this? Yes. I eat my dinner late. I'm not an early dinner person. I like to eat my dinner late. So, all right, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Again, like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Like and subscribe to the channel so you guys never miss a damn podcast when I go live. And if Chris Wright sees this, he'll probably want to kick my ass. So, Chris Wright, if I see you at the racetrack, let's put it on pay-per-view and we'll put it up for charity. How about that? Anyway, guys, give you guys a goodbye salute. I'm signing off, and we'll see you all next week. Goodbye, everyone.